Alright, quick off-time roadmap. I'm going to be going over my own case, and then if I have time, I will be preemptively refuting my opponent's case. And with this, my time starts now. Hello, Judge. My name is Birch Goyle, and today I will be affirming the resolution that this House, as a current high school student, would spend little to no time seeking to improve their physical appearance. This debate should be weighed on net benefits, doing the most amount of good for the most amount of people. And something I'd like to mention just before I get into my case is that high school literally influences like your whole life because of your grades, your college applications. So really, people should get their priorities straight in the sense that academics should be valued more than physical appearances. And then also, I'd like to get into an analogy for this case, which is the silver bullet analogy. So what if you focus on appearance? That just means that the bullet is essentially a bit shiny on the outside because the bullet represents you as a whole. But if you look inside, it's just a gaping hole because there's no academics, there's no really character for reasons that I'll explain later. And bullets are utilitarian, and if you're supposed to use this silver bullet, it'll blow to pieces because it has no weight behind it because it's just a hollow bullet. So some definitions you may wish to know. Physical appearance, we define it as a choice of clothing and facial appearance. Our first advantage is priorities. Our claim is that this House, as high school students, would spend little to no time seeking to improve their physical appearance because they have more important things to worry about. Our warrant is that high school is a time to prepare for college and the rest of your life. It's a time to find your passion. It's a time to find it's essentially a time to step it up so that way you can succeed in the real world. And so being focused on looks is simply not as important as your future life. Subpoint 2. With ACT and SAT prep, children already have enough on their plate. So it's already hard for students to manage the stress. And as we know, mental health has been an issue for students of Gen Z. So essentially, if you worry about physical appearance, you're just adding on to the stress, adding on to this pressure on you. So the impact of all of this is that if high schoolers divert time away from their giant amounts of homework and college applications just so that they can remedy a pimple or two, their whole life could be affected in the sense that they already have so much stress, and stress is extremely bad because it because it's just really bad for mental health, as we all know. So stress also affects your quality of life. You're you're just generally more stressed, and that's really bad because it means you have more pressure on you, and a quality of life is also extremely hard to rebound. For example, if you lost your house and your job, just think about how hard it is to actually get that all back. Think about how hard it is to buy another house, to interview, to succeed in an interview for another job. And a decrease in quality of life is extremely bad because it could lead to death. And also, people tend to shift to the larger group. And if some friends are focusing on appearance, then then other people around them will start to focus on appearance. And then essentially, you're going to have all of these new college students and new people who are going to contribute to the economy in the future who just don't even who focus way too much on their appearance. And now let me explain why appearance doesn't matter. Getting into my second advantage on true friends. Our claim is that true friends aren't created by looks. Essentially, our warrant is that if you have a friend who only values you for your looks, they don't value at all because looks are superficial and they don't value you for who you actually are. If someone just thought that, oh, that person's pretty and now I like them, they don't even look at the character behind it. They don't even look at the personality. And by choosing not to focus on looks, you can actually filter your real friends from your fake friends and figure out who you can lean on, who can you trust, and who you can kind of confide in. So the impacts of this are a decreased value to friendship if you focus on your appearance, because essentially people are gonna have fake friendships because they only care about their looks. And if there is a decreased value of friendship, then you'll have an increase of stress because you don't have someone to lean on. You don't have someone to confide in. You don't have someone to stay up late at night with you working on homework. And then you're going to do worse in school because you have more stress, because you have more pressure on you. And as I've said, high school influences your whole entire life after college, even in college. So really, if you have a lot of stress in school, you're going to do worse in life. Now, getting into my third advantage, I'd like to give a content warning. We're going to talk about models and fashion, and so if you find this triggering, just let me know. So yeah, our third advantage is clothes. Our warrant is nowadays brand name clothing costs exorbitant amounts. and it puts pressure on children to dress well, but they can't afford such expensive clothes. And as a result, kids get ridiculed for what they wear. Point 2, one size fits all. Subpoint A, popular teen brandy brand Melville honors the concept of one size fits all. And brands which do this set an unfair standard for kids who just want to look like the models on the photo. Essentially, if you're going to have like a super small size for a one size fits all, and this is not really all inclusive, and it forces people, like if everyone is at school wearing that type of clothing, you're essentially forcing these students to kind of conform to to what other people are doing. And this form of clothing also over-sexualizes young children who do not know better but follow what their friends do. Essentially, if you're like a quote-unquote bigger person than someone else, but it's a one-size-fits-all and all of your friends are wearing it, then essentially that clothes will be small on you, but you have to wear it because you want to have social status. So getting into point 3 on habits. If children pay excessive amounts of money for clothes, it'll cause an uproar in normalizing expensive school wear. And this will only cause a decrease in accessible clothing as manufacturers will start to mark up the prices because they know that people will pay them even though they don't really have the money to. And now the impacts. If you spend a lot of money on clothes, like, so what if you increase the economy by contributing to these manufacturers? You waste so much money for you and your family, and that money will and now you have a decrease in quality of life because you have less money to go around. And our next impact is passing on habits. Judge, these kids would pass on the habit of paying exorbitant amounts for clothing onto a new generation, literally crippling them because they would know that it's fine to pay like a lot of money for just clothing that I'm not even comfortable in because like you're just getting forced to wear it. And this causes the decrease and now getting to my next impact on causing a decrease in happiness because children will be worried about the wrong things in life. They're going to be worried about what clothes they wear rather than getting good grades and getting a good job. So yeah, my partner will get on to spikes and my last impact, but I strongly urge a vote for the affirmative side of this debate. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, I think we're ready whenever you are. Okay, sorry. Okay. My time will start. 1 second. Hello, Judge. My name is Noah Rudolph, and with my partner, we will be opposing, or rather negating, the resolution that this House, as a high school student, would spend little to no time on seeking to improve their physical appearance. So, I will first go over our contentions and then, of course, negate the contentions offered by the government. I will preface my speech with the fact that we are not proposing to expend excessive hours on appearance. We are arguing simply that this House would put forth an amount of effort into their physical appearance while being cognizant of their schedule. Spending time on physical appearance does not necessarily mean forcing yourself into any sort of societal standards. Improving or even just taking care of physical appearance can be something so simple as wearing clean clothes which match and you feel confident in, or brushing your hair in the morning. So our first contention is that self-esteem is something which is swayed by one's physical appearance in today's world. Subpoint A under the first contention is that spending time on physical appearance cannot simply equate to changing yourself drastically to fit societal beauty standards, which are very real and exist, as we know in this world, which is why it's ludicrous to say that physical appearance doesn't matter, but doing anything which, again, you feel improves your appearance, thus improving your mind space in an environment such as school. So, subpoint I under subpoint A is that everybody in high school is on a mission, more or less, for one thing, which is simply to graduate. but they face social struggles each day where appearance and comments on appearance is concerned. This can be absolutely devastating for a high school student who simply wants to focus on their schoolwork. And the fact of the matter is that anybody can take
POC.
care of themselves. Yes.
So are you guys running a counter plan?
We are not running a counterplan. We are simply stating that, on the contrary of spending little to no time, does not simply equate to spending an excessive amount of time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So where I was is that anybody has the capability to wear something they feel great in, as I've said before, or even do something so simple as, I mean, frankly, brushing your teeth or clipping your nails or combing your hair so that you feel good about your hair, not because anybody wants you to, but simply so that you feel happy with your own appearance and can focus on your work in school while avoiding slack from peers and classmates. Because in today's society, a lot of value is placed upon how a person looks. And even the difference between professional wear and casual wear, and what makes a person professional and casual, which brings us into our second contention, which is that there are situations as a high schooler in today's world where you will be more likely to succeed if you are spending some time on your appearance. So, subpoint A is that in a professional or formal setting, you will be more likely to succeed if you do look the part. More than that, self-esteem affects performance, and pretty privilege does exist. Subpoint for that is that at a debate tournament, for example, or even a concert, we are told to dress relatively nicely, and waiters are usually expected to wear black. There are studies that have shown the importance of looks on how people treat you. So women who dress more fancy have been proven to get promotions at a higher rate than women who don't. And this is just the reality of our world. So, not a hypothetical. If you put no effort into your physical appearance, others will, even if just subconsciously, treat you differently because of it. The impact of this is that you will be less likely to succeed in a workplace or otherwise slightly formal setting. Peers will treat you different, and this, of course, affects mental health. And it will increase stress because it is a problem that is easily avoided. This is not you must fit into these Eurocentric beauty standards, but simply taking care of yourself and appearing in a way which is considered neat or professional. So I will now be negating the contentions offered by the Gov. So they gave this silver bullet analogy that, if you focus on physical appearance, there will be no character or, academic focus within. That is simply not the case because, again, we are not proposing to spend an excessive amount of time on
POI.
yes. Yes.
You talk about how women who dress better tend to get more promotions. Is this necessarily a good thing? Shouldn't people be getting, in general, shouldn't people be getting promotions based off of performance and not necessarily looks?
Whether this is a good thing or not does not affect the real world. This is not a hypothetical discussion. So, fact of the matter is, of course, it's not a good thing, but it's the reality of the world, and it's something that anybody has the capability to do at this point in time. If we were going to debate about, changing the beauty standards, we could do that. But this is a question of whether we, as a high school student in today's world, would spend time on physical appearance. So, their first contention of the government was priorities. They said that people have more important things to worry about. They need to find their passions. And to that, of course, we respond. We never propose to spend more time on looks than academics. They can still, of course, spend time on their academics. It does not take up your whole life to, take care of your physical appearance. They also mentioned for their subpoint B that kids already have enough on their plate. There are mental health issues, and their whole life. This is the example that they gave, which is just, again, a lot of their argument, judges, relies on the fact that this person would be spending excessive time on their appearance when that is not the case. They said that your whole life could be affected by taking time away from college apps to remedy a pimple. That is just, again, that is not the case. We are not proposing to spend an excessive amount of time on appearance. And of course, mental health is greatly affected by self-esteem. So a high school student who receives slack or kickback for, say, bedhead even, has the capability to take care of themselves. And it will lessen their stress and the amount on their plate that they have to worry about to have a morning routine where they take care of themselves and they feel good about themselves. And then again, they also said that people will begin to focus on appearance, and there will be all these people who are working on the economy that focus on appearance. Again, this is not a hypothetical world. People already focus on appearance. In the business world, of course, there have been studies which show success is determined by appearance at times. And we've seen in high school how people put value on appearance. Kids are mean. That is the fact of the matter. And this is the real world. So, of course, as high school students, we would put effort into our appearance. Their other contention was that true friends don't care about looks. And by choosing to focus on looks, you cannot find your real friends. Again, it's just, this is not a hypothetical world. We don't live in a world where people who are attractive only have friends because of their looks. So, while it is true that taking care of yourself can make you appear more approachable, if somebody is trying to be friends with you on the basis of appearance and friends only, platonically friends, that would show itself to you pretty soon, and that would not be your experience in entire high school, that every single person in that high school only wants to talk to you because you are attractive. That is not how society functions, but we do view people as approachable or less approachable on the basis of appearance. And it appears that I have gone quite a bit over time. I apologize. So to conclude, in our next speech, we will go over their third contention. Thank you.
Yeah, just before the next speech, somebody wrote this in the chat, but make sure to ask POIs out loud. And MG, I think we're ready whenever you're ready.
Just to clarify before my partner starts, I'm kind of new to East Coast debate, so I'm not familiar with how much grace period we get after our speech ends.
You get a 30-minute grace period or 30-second grace period for each debate.
Thank you.
Hello. Okay. So, sorry, that was my partner. My name is Rajan Koshek. I'm going to be the second speaker of this. I'm going to do a quick off-time roadmap. So I'm pretty much just going to dive straight into refutes, and with any extra time, I might touch back upon my case. My time begins. It's 8 minutes. Yeah. Okay, diving in straight into refutes. You guys talked about how you aren't proposing to spend excessive hours on like appearance and how you're aware of the schedule and how spending time doesn't exactly like equate to beauty standards, but like time is subjective. There's 24 hours in a day. Most of these hours are spent on sleep and most are spent on school. So what are you going to do with those 4 hours that you actually have left? That's your choice. And that you choose to like prioritize on physical appearance. There's so many more productive things that you could be doing instead of that, like focusing on your future and maybe doing extracurriculars. So that just doesn't make sense. Spending excessive hours on appearance, there's 4 hours in a day realistically that you can really spend on doing things that you actually want to do. And if you're choosing to do that on physical appearance, then that's what you choose to do with your 4 hours instead of setting yourself up for success in the long run. So continuing on, you guys talk about how there's already a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure in high school and everybody faces pressure to like graduate. But this is the exact reason that they face pressure. They face pressure because people are being pressured by their friends and by other people surrounding them to like look good. For example, if I choose to put a lot more time into my physical appearance or even just a little bit more time into my physical appearance, chances are my friends are going to try to follow with me. We see this in our own classrooms and there's nothing you can do to deny this. Continuing on and forward, you guys talk about how like clipping your nails, brushing your teeth makes a long difference, but that's not physical. We disagree with that definition of physical appearance. We believe that that's just simple hygiene, and hygiene is a different thing than physical appearance. Physical appearance is like added things that you can do to make yourself so-called look better. So yeah, we just don't find that fair, and that we don't think that flows. Continuing on for advantage two, you guys talk about how like,
POI.
yes, I'll take it now.
Can you give an example of working on physical appearance that somebody would spend 4 hours a day doing?
Sure. Shopping, staring at the mirror, putting makeup on. Like I have sisters personally, and they have spent hours on end just like putting on makeup to go to school. And I find it quite excessive at that point because you're wasting time in your day. So does that answer your question? Okay. I'm assuming it does. Continuing on, you guys talk about how like how mental health, like you can solve mental health by self-esteem, but that's just that's like a band-aid on a bullet hole. Like mental health is a really big problem, and self-esteem does not solve all of that. In fact, a lot of popular kids end up having a lot of mental health issues just because even though their self-esteem may be high, it may be other reasons. So you can't really just say that and assume that it'll work. Self-esteem is not only based off of appearance. And personally, me as a person, I would believe that having really good friends and having true friends would make me feel better about myself and make me have more self-esteem than looking good. After all, personality and like who you are as a person affects you in the long run, not how you look for a certain period of time. After all, like looks change, people change like physically. So yeah, we just don't see how that really goes through. You talk about how this isn't a hypothetical world, and you bring this up multiple times, but we just don't see this because this is a hypothetical world. This is a hypothetical debate. As a high schooler, I'm not even high school. Like you would choose to spend more time doing physical appearance. So in our hypothetical high school, what would happen? We're following the main trends that are happening in America and in our public schools and in our schooling system. What happens is when 10 kids choose to dress up in like current clothing, like let's say Brandy Melville, as we mentioned, once again, with the one size fits all and the unrealistic expectations, then kids are going to choose to wear that too because they see their friends who may look good in it. But then what this causes is everyone to put pressure on themselves, regardless of how they look or how they feel about their clothing, to dress like that, which is bad. And it takes kids' focuses off of themselves, their own mental health, and their own education and future. So this is a very hypothetical world is what I'm trying to say. And things like this will happen. And you also talk about how like people aren't friends because of looks, but people are friends because of looks. And it happens in my own class personally, like the popular kids group in my class, everyone is generally good looking. Like it's just basic knowledge. We see this in pop culture. We see this in general. Every single school I've gone to, this is what happens. Kids who always look the best tend to be the most popular kids in the class. So society does function like this. And you even mention it in your own thing, saying that a woman will get a promotion because she looks better compared to a woman who does not look as good, does not get a promotion, which in itself is a bad norm. And we should be working to change this. Like it does happen. People do get benefits. Like, see what I'm saying? It does happen. So we should really be trying to change this norm instead of letting it happen because this isn't good. We want people to be rewarded on their performance. So now that I've refuted almost all their points, I'm going to go into some spikes. You guys talk. So looks does not cause true happiness. So the op cannot say that happiness is caused by appearance. Happiness is way more deep and than their superficial meaning of like happiness and like friendship. Happiness is like fleeting and superficial, and happiness is not joy, which comes like internally and lingers much longer. Like the feeling of happiness or getting a good grade on a math test versus joy, which may come from having true friends because of your because of not primarily focusing on your physical appearance. Social status. Does popularity really matter? Like in the classic high school hierarchy, the popular kids tend to be more distracted from school, focused on looks, and are generally superficial in their ways. Like we think of this ideal student that goes to every school, but in the real world, there is no real ideal student. Like kids are swayed by pop culture, and currently, like what we see is popular kids generally look the best, and popular kids tend to be distracted from school. So they can't talk about how like popularity is really important and how it like improves you, because it really doesn't. It doesn't improve you as a person. In the short term, you maybe get a little bit of happiness from this, but really get joy from this, or long lasting, just feelings of glee and proudness and pride. So now reviewing some of my advantages of my last minute. Also, I'll take any POIs right now if you have any. So advantage one, like priorities, high school students need to be spending more time on the important things that they need to be worrying about. For example, SAT, ACT prep for children who are choosing to go to college. And then also kids need to be focusing on their future from there, and focusing on looks isn't exactly the way to do this. Even if you choose to be a model, being intelligent generally just helps you more in the long term. Not everyone should be focusing on looks. Once again, you have like 4 extra hours in your day, like to choose to like do other things. When they asked me their POI, they even said, what would you do with those 4 hours? Have you ever seen people spend 4 hours on doing this? And my answer to that was yes. I have seen people spend hours on end doing this to make themselves look better. But truly, it's just seen as wasted time and choice to not be as productive. And we want to be changing these norms. We want people to choose, oh, being intelligent is what I want to be, and that's what I choose to be. Okay, so with my last 15 seconds, Judge, I strongly urge you to vote for the government side, as we prioritize good values. For example, intelligence and choosing good friends over choosing friends over physical appearance, and choosing to waste time on physical appearance. Thank you.
Thank you. Emo, whenever you're ready.
Okay, quick off time roadmap. I'm gonna follow the flow of the previous arguments. I'm gonna first go over ops case and negating their refutations, and then go over gov's case. Okay, my time starts now. My name is Amber. I am the second speaker for the opposition. So the first thing that the government said in their speech is that time is subjective, and most hours are spent on school and sleep, and they should not be taking extra time on their physical appearance, and should, because that is taking away from their success in the long run. However, we argued in our first contention that physical appearance actually can set you up for success in the long run. For example, in our first contention, my partner talked about how there are formal situations and additionally workplace situations where you do need to be, where you do need to look a certain way to succeed in that specific setting. We also do have more than 4 hours in every day. You know, you have school and sleep, but that's leaving a lot of time that you could be doing with whatever you want. And we are not suggesting that a student should spend all of their time that is not sleeping or school on their looks, but we are suggesting that you should spend more than no time on your looks. So they did not really refute our first contention at all about the importance of beauty in public settings, other than to say that we should be trying to change change the fact that people are treated differently because they look. And while this is true, high schoolers at this point cannot change the entire way our society works. We are simply setting up a plan for high schoolers to succeed as much as possible in both high school and in the rest of their life within the society that we currently have. They said on one of our second sub points in our contention.
POI.
I'll take it.
Okay. Could you answer the question? How are trends set, and trends specifically among us, like high school and junior high schoolers?
Beauty trends specifically, or all trends?
In general, just trends.
Trends are set when people find that when a majority of people find that they like a certain thing, whether that is a certain type of music, certain type of clothes, a certain candy. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so they said that things like brushing your teeth, cutting your nails, and brushing your hair are all hygiene. And while this can be true, they can also be part of making sure that you look good. For example, spending extra time to make sure that your hair looks good, so that you don't go to school with bedhead or doing things like that. On our second contention, they had kind of contradicting arguments. On the one hand, they were saying that it is a very hypothetical world. However, on the other hand, they were saying that, that things like being treated based on how you looks do happen. So we're seeing contradictions. And we are going to go with the case that we are not working in a hypothetical world. We are just presenting, I'm in high school and I do see people do get treated differently based off of how they looks. Additionally, on our second contention, they talked about how self-esteem does not solve mental health, but feeling comfortable in your own skin is actually a crucial part of mental health. We see this with everyone from at one extreme, kids who are trans and do not feel comfortable in their own skin, to just people who are not happy for their appearance. We're not arguing that you need to fit into Eurocentric beauty norms, but that feeling comfortable in your own skin and happy with how you present yourself to the world will help your mental health and will decrease stress and make you a generally happier person. Going on to their contentions with my remaining 3 minutes. Their first contention was that, about priorities and that kids have enough on their plate. However, people should be, working on making sure that they feel comfortable in their own skin, and that is never a bad thing to work on. Physical appearance absolutely affects your self-esteem, contrary to what the government said, because one, feeling comfortable in your own skin, and two, even if you have close friends that do not care about your appearance, there will be others that care about your appearance and will ridicule you for your appearance. The government also said that appearance will not help you in the long run, but as I said, it will absolutely help you with the long run. If you have a kid who is working in high school, as many kids need to do, you need to look presentable in that job. At this debate, we are expected to look presentable, and just setting up trends of making sure you look presentable to best succeed in this whichever setting you are in is quite crucial, because then if you go into other careers later in life that you need to look presentable, but you don't have that pattern set up in your life, then you will not succeed in those jobs as well. They also talked about how kids who look best are going to be the most popular in the class. One, this is beauty is subjective, and this is assuming that the kids who are popular are being confined by Eurocentric beauty norms, but as I said, we are not suggesting that kids should go over Eurocentric beauty norms, just that they should make sure they feel comfortable in their own skin. Skipping to their fourth contention, kids about clothing. Oh, that's my time. I'm just gonna wrap it up saying that kids do not need to be spending a lot of time or a lot of money shopping for clothes and buying clothes. You can absolutely spend time on your appearance without spending ridiculous amounts of money and time. I would like to strongly push a opposition ballot. Thank you.
All right, Elo, you have 4 minutes with 30 seconds grace.
Okay. Okay. So just to reiterate once more, hello Judge, my name is Noah Rudolph, and with my partner, we have clearly negated the resolution that this House, as a high school student, would spend little to no time on their physical appearance. So one more time, let's just go over the Gov's contentions. Their first contention was priorities. They tried to claim that students have 4 hours a day where they are free, which I have no idea where that number is coming from, as school usually ends around 3:30, but they argued that we are going to have 4 hours a day and students are going to spend all 4 hours of that time on physical appearance in order to force themselves into these beauty standards and to find friends that will only like them on the basis of their face. This is simply not the case. We never proposed that students spend an excessive amount of time on physical appearance. That is very clearly an excessive amount of time. The examples that they gave was their sister shopping for clothes and wearing makeup, when again, our definition, or rather what we have over and over and over again stated as worrying about physical appearance, is to simply do things for yourself to avoid ridicule in today's world, not a hypothetical world. They go back and forth when they want to, saying, oh, this is a hypothetical debate, you know, your friends will like you for who you are, looks doesn't matter, but then they turn and say, oh, in the real world, I see classmates who are popular and they are all attractive, and women who are attractive are more likely to exceed in the business world, and this is a bad thing. And you know, fact of the matter is, this is the real world, and we are simply making a plan for a high school student at present who will spend time on their physical appearance to avoid any sort of ridicule or social stress, thus affecting their mental health. Their second contention was, again, true friends don't care about looks, and we have already gone over this, especially the mental health effects of taking care of yourself. Spending time on a pimple is not going to end your life and not get you into college. And then their third contention was clothing, saying that people are going to all over sexualize themselves. Young kids are going to sexualize themselves and be worried about the wrong thing. And then to this, we responded that even just clean clothes, which you feel match well, can be taking care of physical appearance. No one is requiring you to expend excessive amounts of money on clothing. There are affordable clothing brands that are trendy and do look good. If we're going to be talking about trends, which they did ask a POI about, I mean, fast fashion is very cheap and actually caters to people who want to fit into trends but don't have a lot of money. And then, of course, as we've stated over and over and over again, we feel that physical appearance is simply taking care of yourself, feeling good about yourself. It can be self-expression, and kids in school do not only have to take care of their physical appearance for everybody else. And then lastly, this main point that they try to make is that happiness is not controlled by appearance. They said, oh, does popularity really matter? And again, this is incredibly hypothetical, or rather hypocritical, sorry, because we are not living in a hypothetical world, and they switch back and forth over and over and over again. But happiness can be dictated by self-esteem in today's world. Now, I have gone into my grace period, so I will very, very briefly go over our contentions. One, self-esteem is something which is swayed by one's physical appearance. So what it comes down to is self-esteem in the real world, taking care of yourself. Our second contention is that there are situations as a high schooler in today's world where you will be more likely to succeed if you are spending some time on your appearance. Everybody has the capability to do this. It will affect self-esteem. It will affect mental health in today's world. It will decrease stress to simply take care of yourself. And for all of these reasons, we have clearly shown that as a high school student, it would be best to spend some time on physical appearance. Thank you.
Great. And final speech of the round, PM, you have 5 minutes with 30 seconds grace.
All right, off-time roadmap. I will be speaking a bit faster than usual just because I have a lot to get through. I'm going to be going over refutes to my opponent's case and then weighing this debate. And with that, my time starts now. So just jumping straight into the refutes of my opponent's case. They said that physical appearance is equivalent to a success in the long run, but physical appearance is setting you up for success is a really, really bad norm, and we solve that norm by not actually spending a lot of time on your physical appearance, because the only a few settings that actually matter for and should matter for physical appearance are models, but they shouldn't matter in workplaces or I don't know, insurance companies or whatever, because of the fact that you should be weighed upon your performance, and that's why you should get a promotion, not because you're beautiful. And even though that my opponents even though that this is a norm right now, we actually solve it by encouraging high schoolers not to spend as much time on their physical appearance. So also you said that trends are set to a majority of people find out that they like a certain thing, but the majority in this case is physical appearance, and the thing that the majority of people are doing is physical appearance, and all these other people are being subjected to amounts of peer pressure, and this is really bad because now they are not comfortable in their own skin, as you say, because people need to be comfortable in their own skin to be to be happy, and you're really not, because you're getting peer pressured into this one size fits all, and you essentially choose to make yourself look what everyone else looks like, not because you want to look like that. So also the majority and by current means of trend setting, we can actually solve, because trends are super easy to implement and figure out. All you have to do is just get a majority to do something, and so really we solve much faster than my opponents. And then getting into their just warrants, they have none. All they say is that there's study that shows that women are more likely to get a promotion, but they don't specify which studies, they don't specify anything else. That's all they say, and we've already refuted how this is a really, really bad norm and how we can actually change it. Furthermore, they don't actually refute our points. They just bring up their old arguments and say that this is a hypothetical world. But the thing is, they just say that this is not a hypothetical world. But the thing is that it actually is a hypothetical world, because we are No, it's not a hypothetical world, because we are actually debating on whether or not this would work, on the impact of this. We are not saying that this is hypothetical or not. So my opponent's case here really doesn't make sense. And just driving on the point that appearance won't help in the long run, because you're going to be a dumb person who just has a pretty face, and you're going to be dumb because you didn't spend time on school and because you prioritized being pretty over your academics. And so just they have no warrant. Their only argument with a warrant was that some studies have proven that there are true benefits. And how can we trust this? This is a very bad and toxic standard that we cannot enforce within the new set of students. There are no POIs in the last speech. I don't know what you're doing. On judges, why would you even consider voting for an op which promotes toxicity between peers and sets bad standards? Not only this, but they have no warrants for any of their arguments. We need to change this norm and allow students to be proud of their own selves. Vote Gov for a better future with joyful children. And now I'm going to be weighing this debate in with PMTR probability. The probability of us changing a norm is actually quite likely because they are extremely easy to change. And so my opponent's stock in this norm of like people needing happiness to be physically like beautiful is really like it just doesn't work. Now getting into the magnitude, if we are helping people with their stress by making them feel comfortable in their own skin, by letting them do what they want and not subjecting them to insane amounts of peer pressure, on top of their already insane amounts of stress from school, we are doing the most amount of good for the most amount of people, because these people will be the ones contributing to our economy in the future. These are the people who will be in our workforce. These are the people who will be the parents of the new generation. And so really, we are doing the most amount of good for the most amount of people. And also reversibility. If you are subjected to insane amounts of stress, insane amounts of peer pressure, insane amounts of every single bad effect, literally, you're going to be completely demotivated. Like, your quality of life is going to be extremely bad. And quality of life is extremely hard to rebound. I've given the example on if you if you lost your house and job. How do you get a job back super fast if you lost your house? How do you get your house back if you don't have a job? So really, a quality of life is extremely hard to rebound. And time frame, we can also solve this norm pretty fast. And whereas the neg doesn't really, they're just saying that really they're just saying that people feel comfortable in their own skin, and that studies prove that being beautiful helps in the real world. This is a very toxic norm. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We solve this norm. We solve all this toxicity, peer pressure, and stress on these students. So for these reasons, Judge, and many more, I strongly urge a vote for the affirmative side of this debate. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.